All right. Well, today, welcome to the Spiritual Capitalist. This is going to be a little bit different experience for you and for me. You see, I've actually never done a episode where it's just me and just talking to you and explaining my life, explaining some things going on. But before we do that, I'm just going to light a little bit of sage. Just want to open up the space because this week has been, in the last couple of weeks, has been extremely challenging. There's been a lot going on. And, I often say that in order to be a true visionary and to be able to walk this path of a spiritual capitalist, you often have to walk through the fire. And the reason we walk through the fire is to show those around us that it's safe, being a fire walker, and or often we have to walk into the shadow. And this week, in the last couple of weeks, I find myself continuing walking through the shadow, walking through some incredibly difficult moments. I've said that being a spiritual capitalist or running a business is one of the most incredible journeys that someone can take if they're looking to experience themselves, experience the really great things about themselves, experience the dark things about themselves, and also the things that we learn along that path are incredible. And some people say that men, they don't cry and that having your own emotions is weakness. Like I'm 6'6", 225, 230 pounds, strong man. And I will let everybody know in the world that there are times when I cry, when I sob, and when I express my feelings from the depth. These are not tears of manipulation. These are sacred tears. These are sometimes tears of joy. They're sometimes tears of being misunderstood. Sometimes tears of anger or frustration. But I release them because they are sacred. And that day is exactly what I was doing. And then I got a phone call from a good friend of mine. And I won't go through the details because it's extremely sacred. But in that moment, I felt my anxiety go through the roof, going from, already pretty high to the moment in time where your body is shaking and you continue to ask, what is it that I'm hearing? What is it that you're saying? And then I felt guilty. I felt guilty because the things that I thought were problems, the things that I thought were issues, the things I thought were stress, the things that I thought were something I couldn't handle became so minute. It becomes so tiny. And in our lives, we take things that are important to us and we tend to amplify them. We tend to make them something much, much bigger than what they really are. And the reason we do that is because we don't have a place to look at the opposition of our feelings or opposition of what we're experiencing, meaning there's nothing to compare them to. And when I compare my problems with somebody else's experience, all of a sudden I felt so guilty. It didn't mean that those problems didn't matter. It didn't mean that they weren't immense. It simply meant that those problems were not problems. So I invite you to look at your own life. And when you start to say, hey, this is a problem, I'm extremely stressed out about it. I mean, have you heard people in life talk about how they're stressed out that they can't find the right piece of clothing, or they're stressed out that, that someone said the wrong thing, or they're stressed because they're not somewhere on time, or whatever the thing might be, or they're stressed because they're in traffic and traffic won't move quick enough, or they're in line, or someone got their order wrong at a coffee shop. And the list goes on and on and on. And then all of a sudden you find those people that when we have the ability to look at the opposition, when we have the ability to look at the comparison of someone that's been diagnosed with cancer, or someone that has lost a loved one, or someone that is going through an immense amount of tragedy, our problems don't really feel like that big of a problem anymore. And so I found myself in that moment, and I got off the phone, and I was in tears. Except these weren't sacred tears. These were just tears of pain. These were tears of hurt. These were tears of asking the universe and God and Source, why? Why? Why do such terrible things happen to such good people? And the question is, I don't know the answer to that question. I have no idea why such good people experience such heartache. And in that moment, I just closed my eyes as I was sobbing. I did everything I could to connect to my heart, connect to something much bigger than myself, to find a level of peace and a way to grasp what was going on. And the reality is I've never found a place to grasp that. The only thing I could do is step into a place of action. Because when I was sitting in this other place, I was in a place of hell because I felt helpless, because I wasn't doing anything. And I think as men, when tragedy hits, it becomes very difficult for us just to sit still in stillness and listen. Listen to something greater than ourselves, bigger than ourselves, that gives us the message that we need to hear in that very moment. And using that very moment, it's a place to choose love. And so I did what I believe anybody would do, is I rallied around that individual. And when I find in a place of tragedy, you really start to find out who that you can rely on, who you can trust, who will be there. Because words are so cheap. This word of brotherhood, this word of no matter what, I got your back. And you really find out in those moments who really has your back and who just speaks a really good game. But I watched as the community, I watched as everybody surrounded my brother. I watched how they rallied around him in his tragic times, in his tragedy. All while at the same time, in the back of my head, I was still dealing with these problems, these things. They still needed to be solved, still need to make a choice. Still needed to decide what was the answer. You know, I'm reminded of something biblically. You know, I tend to find myself reading the Bible or different spiritual books because I find comfort in them. And there's a place where Jesus talks about, come pick up your cross and follow me. And I think a lot of people misunderstand this. And they think that come pick up your cross and follow me, meaning like step into the same agony, the same pain that I'm going through. And I don't think that's what it's saying at all. I think it's saying, pick up your burdens, pick up your stress, pick up your pain, pick up the things that are afflicting you, the things that you don't know how to overcome, and lift them up above yourself. And follow me. Follow me into love. Follow me into curiosity. Come to me as a child. Come follow me. And there's so much freedom in that. But what I found remarkably interesting for myself is I went and picked up my brother that evening after that phone call. And we were coming back and dropping him off at a friend's house so that he wouldn't be alone, so that he could find comfort and he could be with other people. And on our way, I said, brother, I have a question. And he looked at me and said, what? And I said, do you mind if I pray? He said, I'd love if you prayed. And I reached over and I grabbed his big mitt of a hand and put it in my hand. And I prayed with him. And I said the things that couldn't be said out of my mouth because they were so tender. As we both wept. And we took that energy, and we took those words, and we released them. We released the pain, and we said the things that couldn't be said between our two lips because they were just too much to hold. And we released them. And we let someone else pick those up. We let something greater than ourselves, something bigger than ourselves support us through that pain and tragedy. And it was a lesson for me in that moment. That there's always something greater than ourselves holding us. That we're not alone. And often in business, and often in our relationships, and often in our path, we think we're doing this alone. We feel deeply alone. But I find myself in deep meditation and prayer. All of my teachers, depending upon what they believe, I surround myself with people that believe in Christianity and people that are more into spirituality from a perspective of the universe and the mountains and nature, and other people that connect to other things. And I don't know the answer. I don't pretend to know the answer. I just know there's something bigger than myself. And when I say bigger than myself, I don't mean that it's greater than myself. I mean, and at times when I feel weak, when I feel sad, when I feel like I can't pick myself up, and I'm sitting in my depression, and I'm sitting in my anxiety, and I'm sitting in doing everything I can to make the right choice in alignment with what I believe, with what I know in my soul, when it becomes really difficult to hold that, there is something greater that helps me pick it up and hold it up above my head to overcome, to step into something bigger than what I can even explain. In life, there are a lot of things as a visionary, as an entrepreneur, that we have to overcome, that we have to pick up. There's a lot. There's a lot of support for our staff. There's a lot of support for our vision. There's a lot of support for our mission. And there's many things that we do not want to do. I did not want to go to the hospital that day. I did not want to make the decisions that I have to make. There are times I don't want to put in money into my business. There are times I don't want to do a lot of things. And want has nothing to do with it. We always think that want, everybody's like, I want this, I want that, I want this. Great. Your wants are important. Your desires are beyond important. However, we often have to do things we don't want to do. Now, this is where we get to step into choice. We have this decision, which is A. We have this decision, which is B. And neither one of them are great. And we don't want either one of them. However, we have to step into choice. I'm going to choose A. I'm going to choose this decision. I'm going to stand in my conviction. This is the choice I choose. And once I make that choice, here's where the power comes in that very few people actually know. And it's this. When we stand in our choice, we must choose at that point in time, what are the possibilities of our choice? Because when we're standing in a place of making this decision, our nervous system's screaming at us what to do, what not to do. And we can feel it in our bodies, and there's this vibration, this intensity, this anxiety, this overwhelming energy. But when we stand in what is my choice, when we stand in what is my opportunity? What opportunities lie in this choice? What things am I not seeing yet? What things have I not considered yet? Where is the opportunity in making this choice and decision? And that's how we start to step out of hell and we step into opportunity. We step into creation. We step into changing this energy of this choice. But again, just because you choose something doesn't mean that you want to choose it. And that's a lesson that I have found myself sitting in the last couple of weeks. I haven't had episodes going on The Spiritual Capitalist. It's only been me. I won't say that life is easy. There's a lot of people out there who will make you believe that the entrepreneurial journey, that building a business, that creating something is easy, that every day you get to just do what you want to do. It's just not true. There are so many choices that you have to make. And then you get to see the opportunity in those choices. And then you get to choose creation. And through that creation, you get to choose action. And through that action, you get to see your outcome. And that's really beautiful. And that relates to so many places in life right now for me. Because again, you don't always get what you want. But you do have to choose, because if you don't, you sit in a place of opposition, you sit in a place of hell. Right now, I feel like I'm in a lot of places where I have to take and make these choices and decisions. But the power lies again in making the choice. So I'm sitting down in front of this mic and I'm not really sure what to say, because usually I sit down and I have a guest And I get to hear all about their life. And I get to hear about their experiences. And I get to hear about what led them here to today. Except I'm sitting here with myself. Nobody else. It's quiet here in the studio. There's nobody actually listening to me. There's no one filming this. It's just myself and my thoughts. They tend to be all over the place. I think the greater your mission, sometimes the greater things you're asked to hold. Source is always working with us. It's always co-creating with us. And we're always having different lessons. We're always experiencing different things daily. And often I hear people say, Dalton, how do you do it? How do you hold so much stress? How do you put yourself in these positions where you create all of this around you, but also how do you hold the stress of all of this around you? And I laugh because I think that there's plenty of people in this world that are holding a lot more stress. They're holding stresses of, are they going to make it through the night? They're holding stresses of, will my diagnosis, will I be healed? They're holding stresses of not getting to see their loved one anymore. They're waiting for loved ones to come back from war. They're holding the stress of their own personal sovereignty and freedom. It just doesn't compare. There are so many places where we think that something is big. It's just so small in comparison. It just doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things. Of course, in the moment it matters. It really does. It matters in that moment a lot to us. But again, going back and stepping into comparison, things change. They're not the same thing. They don't matter the same way as what you once thought they did. They're very small in comparison. You know, a couple weeks ago, I lived downtown Salt Lake City, and the studio's out that way as well. And, you know, in the mornings I'll wake up and typically go over and get a good cup of coffee. It's my probably only vice I have these days compared to the vices I used to have that were holding me. And there was a man walking down he wasn't actually technically walking down the sidewalk. It was last Sunday, and I came upon him, and he was in a wheelchair. And I don't say this to impress you or to be like, look at me. I say this just to be able to say, look how much you have. And when I came around the corner, I saw he had this stump on his leg, and his other foot, it was cold outside, I remember that. His other foot was bleeding. And he said to me, hey man, you got $1? And I looked at him and I said, what is going on? Why's your feet bleeding? Homeless guy, you know, older guy. Apparently he'd been in the war. Maybe probably 70-something years old, white beard, bald. Said because someone last night, they stole my shoes. And they stole my hat. I said, okay, give me a moment. I'll be right back. So I ran upstairs and grabbed a pair of my shoes because he wore size 13 as well. Grabbed a hoodie, grabbed a hat, ran downstairs. He was gone. I looked around for a while and couldn't see him, and I ran up the other side of the road, and there he was, sitting in this little alleyway. And I said, where'd you go? I told you it's going to be right down. He goes, a lot of people say things, but very few people do what they say they're going to do. So I just thought you're one of those guys. I said, nope. And I remember getting down on my hands and knees and taking a sock out of the bag, brand new, pulling it up on his little stump, pulling it all the way up his leg, and thinking, my God, I have my feet. This man has no foot. Put on the sock. He was a little bit shocked. I think I was helping him. Put on my shoe over the stump and just, really like pulled it tight so it could stick onto his stump. And I helped him with his other one. Put a hat on him. Pushed him forward a little bit, and wrapped him in the hoodie. And sat with him for a while and just talked to him, listened to him, and heard his story about how once he was in the war, and listened to his feelings about how we treat the troops, how we treat vets. He seemed like a pretty nice man. Saw him a couple days later. He asked for a couple more dollars, a cigarette, which I don't smoke. And occasionally I'll wave at him and I'll talk to him. He's still out there. And I know that in everybody's community, we have a lot of people like this. We have these stories. And so, again, back to comparison. We stress about so many things in our lives. Again, it's not that they don't matter. But do you have your feet? Do you have these digits on your hands? Can you breathe? Does your heart beat? Can you speak? Do you have clean water? Gratitude, comparison. The things we think are big are fucking minute in nature compared to some people, what they're carrying. Walking downtown, I see so many people struggling with addiction, fentanyl, walking around like zombies. And I constantly think to myself, this is someone's brother, this is someone's uncle, this is someone's mom, this is someone's sister. And somehow they're just these zombies walking around town, lost, or walking around a corner and seeing somebody's shooting up heroin. A lot of addiction, a lot of mental problems. And so I often think, is my afflictions, is my stresses, is my anxieties, is my problems, are they really fucking problems? Because they don't feel like it. But again, in that moment, those problems seem like big problems. And I think we can look at lots of things in life that feel like problems. And often they're just minute, they're tiny, they just don't matter. I don't feel very prepared to do this solo episode. It feels easy to be able to speak on camera, but what the fuck am I speaking about? I feel like I'm just speaking into the void and hoping that this creates some kind of difference in someone's life. What the fuck do I know? I have my own experiences. I carry my own pain. I carry my own demons. I carry my own suffering. I carry my own anxieties, my own stresses. And I don't have this figured out. There's no perfect plan. There's no perfect way to accomplish anything. It's often that we are sold that there's a plan of perfection. There's 10 easy steps. There's 3 easy steps for you to become successful. There's 3 easy steps for you to lose weight. There's 3 easy steps to learn whatever the fuck it is. And what I find is that most of humanity, we want the easy way out. We want these step-by-step programs. We want the after-school special. We want the 30-minute fix. And there is no 30-minute, 2 or 3 steps of success. There's just not. Or of happiness, or of peace, or of joy. There's none of that. I am so tired of seeing gurus and experts and people peddling and selling bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not true. It's a lie. But guess what? It's partly our fault because we want it to be easy. We want to find the hack. We want to find the simple thing. Look at most ad copy on the internet. 3 easy steps. Look at most hooks on Instagram. 2 easy steps. Look at anything out there. We want the easy way. I know we all want the easy way, but the problem with the easy way is it doesn't fucking work. You have to go through the pain. You have to go through the fire. You have to go through the hardship in order to be able to lift yourself up above. Why do you think there's a story about the phoenix? This earth is an earth of opposition. Dark, light, hot, cold, pain, love, hate, love. It's the opposition, masculine, feminine. But for some reason, we're forgetting this, and I don't know why. It's because we all want to be sold something, but it's all a lie. How many people do you know has ever picked up a book and went and got rich that hadn't gone through the fire, that didn't take their pain, their suffering, their anger, their frustration, and find something inside of that because they wanted to fix and change and create something different from that saw success? Because most of the people I meet that have done that, that is where they find their success. That's what we do here on the Spiritual Capitalist. When we talk to people, we hear their pain, we hear their suffering, we hear their real fucking journey. Not some sugar-coated, here's 3 easy steps to succeed. Because it's not real. You know, you listen to these gurus, you listen to people that are sitting and meditating on a fucking mountain somewhere. And it's so easy for them to tell people what to do. It's so easy for people to say, just live in your heart. I'm not going to tell you that because I recognize this world is not always easy. I recognize it's not fair. I recognize it's full of pain. I recognize that sometimes you're questioning everything inside of you and you're questioning God. And how dare you say, what the fuck are you doing, God? I'm confused. And then people say, well, you can't talk to God that way. And I'm like, well, if God's so fucking he can't handle my words, my anger, my frustrations, my sadness, my just rage at times, then he's a much weaker soul or energy than I am. Because please bring me your pain. Please bring me your frustrations. Please bring me the things that are holding you back from getting what you want. Because together we can figure those things out. We can work through those things. I can take my pain, I can take my suffering, I can take these things and I can put them somewhere and I can have someone else lift them up. Something bigger than myself. Pain is necessary. Suffering is optional. You will have pain in your life. You will have hurt in your life. You will have sorrow in your life. But you can choose to transmute it. Instead of stepping into suffering, you find the lesson. And that is all I have been trying to do the last couple of weeks is find the lesson, to find the higher ground, to find the place of alignment, to find something in all of this madness and chaos and fucking make sense of it. And I can't. I can't make sense of any of this. But again, this planet is a planet of opposition. So we get to experience the most beautiful experiences in the world. We get to experience a child being born, the giggles and laughter. We get to see nature and the mountains and the oceans. We get to watch the moon and we get to watch sunsets. We get to see so many beautiful things. We get to watch people become victorious. We get to watch people overcome things. We get to see paintings and taste incredible foods and listen to amazing music. Like, how beautiful is that we get that? But we also have the opposition of that, and that is we get to witness and watch the loved ones we care about get sick. We get to watch innocent people die. We get to hear the pain and suffering as human beings do to each other constantly. We turn on the internet and we also see the tragedy of war, of oppression, of lack of freedom, of so many atrocities going on in the world around us. The sweetness on one side and the bitterness on the other side. And we get to experience all of it. Not just some of it. All of it. But that's what we've chosen. We've chosen to be in a planet of opposition. So let's talk a little bit more about what we can do with this. Because often what happens, and this is actually really important, earlier we were talking about fentanyl and we were talking about addiction and we were talking about, people that have great afflictions. The reason I said it's important for us to learn from those things, if we don't learn from our pain and suffering, what actually ends up happening is that we stuff it inside, or we turn to alcohol, drugs, sex, some form of distraction, and we actually try to numb our suffering. But just like somebody standing outside your house, they knock on the door. Boom, 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 boom. You hear it, and you decide to ignore it. And you put on your earphones. Doom, 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 doom. And they still keep knocking, and they realize you're inside. See, your soul, your suffering, your pain that's trying to teach you something realizes you're inside. And so it's going to knock harder. Boom, 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 boom. Until finally, that feeling, that emotion, that thing you're hiding inside yourself because you don't want to deal with the pain and suffering will eventually come screaming at you. And the way it shows up is in our anxiety, is in our sickness, is in our dis-ease of our bodies. And so one way or another, it's going to show up unless we actually learn from it. So what do we need to do? We actually need to face it. We need to look it on. Again, I keep repeating this. Look at it and ask, what is it that I'm willing to learn? What is it that I need to know? What is it I'm not willing to see to let go of this pain and suffering forever? What is it? And then once we see that, then we have to step into a place of acceptance. Here's what I mean by that. How often is it when someone in our lives pass on and we hear about it for the first moment and our minds don't want to believe that something has occurred like this? We don't want to believe that someone's actually left our loved ones, our parents, our grandparents, our aunts, our friends, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, and we go like, what? Wait, what just happened? And everything inside of us stands in this place of disbelief, that there's no way that this person can be gone. And as time goes on, we slowly step into the place of belief. We no longer are hiding from the pain and suffering. We are recognizing that it is happening. We're recognizing this thing has occurred, whatever that might be. And so, again, we can shove it down and pretend it didn't happen, or we can look at it, we can learn from it, and then we can step into a place of acceptance of this is where it's at. And then the next step we have to have is we have to step into cultivating compassion. We have to be compassionate. We have to be compassionate with those around us that are going through suffering. We have to be compassionate with ourselves for our own pain, our own traumas, our own hurts. We have to step in compassion of those that might have done something to us that they didn't mean to, or even that they meant to. Because it doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it means we get to heal through it. And the only way we can do that is step from a place of compassion, a compassion for ourselves, compassion for other people. And often it's putting our hands on our hearts and saying, you're safe. I love you. I forgive you. I see you. I feel you. It's okay. It is safe to be you. It is safe to feel. And men, we have a hard time feeling because we're standing in the actions all the time. Because the actions, like I talked about at the beginning, is a place of avoidance. Let's just solve the problem. A friend of mine recently, his really good friend, was diagnosed with cancer. And all he did immediately is jump into taking action. I'm going to solve this. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do whatever it takes. No different than my father recently when he's gotten sick. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to hire this person. I'm going to research this thing. I'm going to figure this out. There's no way I'm going to allow you to go through this pain and suffering on your own. I'm going to solve for this. I'm going to figure this out. Because we want to feel and we don't want to see people suffer. We don't want to see people hurt. And the reality is this earth is a place of opposition. The people we love and the people we care about, we are going to see them hurt. And we're going to hurt ourselves. The next step. And the next step after that is reflect. Write it down. Get it out. Speak it out like this. The next step is to reflect. And what I mean by that is journal it out. Take the time to take those thoughts, to take those feelings, and put them down on paper. Don't type them out. Get a piece of paper, lay it down, open a book up, and write down. Write down how you're feeling. I feel like this. I experience this. Oof, these are heavy thoughts. These are heavy feelings. And then write down, here's my lessons. Here's what I'm learning. Here's what I'm accepting. Because that becomes a very powerful, cathartic process to be able to get your thoughts out. And then once again, take the time to close your eyes and meditate. There's all different forms of meditation. A lot of people think when they meditate that they have to clear out their mind completely. And there's great meditations for that. Where you can completely clear out your mind and then just basically as you're breathing in through your stomach, breathing out through your nose, just witnessing and seeing things and basically not becoming part of your brain and your thoughts, just allowing them to pass. Or there's so many different ways that you can do this. You can type in, meditation on YouTube. And maybe one day I'll do a meditation for you. But you can type in a meditation on YouTube and you can see tons and tons of tracks that you can use to calm your nervous system down, to be able to sit in your own peace and your own acceptance. And what I like to do is when I breathe in, I tell myself I am safe. I am safe. I say that all my worries, concerns, and fears are leaving me now. I see a white light come down and start to move through the top of my head and feel the peace and feel the stress start to move away from my jawline, which is where I carry a lot of stress, down into my chest, down to relaxing my shoulders. Sometimes I'll take a breath in from my heart, like I'm breathing through my heart, and sigh it out. and just try to let all of the energy go that I've been holding on to. And so that's a really great place. And then seek guidance. Seek guidance from your higher self, from your angels, from your guides, or from your spiritual teachers. Seek guidance. Seek guidance from a place like the Spiritual Capitalist. I'm not to say I've got it all figured out, because I don't, but I have been through a lot of things. And so I'm only speaking from my own personal experience. But there's all kinds of spiritual teachers out there. I don't claim to be a spiritual teacher on any level. I'm just sharing my experience. But being in community and talking to other people about things and saying, hey, do you have a moment that I can share some of the things I'm going through right now? Some of the things that are on my heart, some of the things I'm feeling, some of the things I'm carrying. I just need you to listen. Women, if you're listening to this, if you tell a man, here's what I'm going through, and you give him all your problems or your feelings and your stresses, immediately, because this is what we do, we go into the action. Okay, this is how you're going to solve it. This is what you're going to do. Because that's what we do for each other as men as well. It's sometimes not easy for us to hold the space of the emotion. And so what you need to say is, you need to say, listen, I don't need you to solve this for me. I need you to simply listen and hear what's on my heart. Men, do the same thing with other men as well, because again, they're going to step into the action side of things. It's very, very important that you do that, because if you don't, most people step in to let me help you solve your problem, because I don't want you to hold that pain. I want to help you any way I possibly can. And I do believe humans in general, we don't want to see each other suffer. And so we're always constantly trying to help those people out of that suffering. And then the last thing that you do is you step into a place of gratitude. Gratitude will always lift your altitude. The more gratitude we have for the things in this life, the more gratitude we have for the things in this life, the higher we're able to get. You don't need drugs to get high. If you stand in a place of gratitude, for instance, if someone you've loved is gone, they're no longer here, sit back and stand in gratitude for every single beautiful moment that you've shared with them. Think about all the memories. Bring them vividly into your mind and just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful for that experience I was able to share with you. I am so grateful for the experiences we've had. I'm so grateful for the laughter. I'm so grateful that you were there for me. I am so grateful. And if you can't find anything because you're so low to be grateful for, be grateful for clean water. There are many people in this world, and I have been all over the world, where you're afraid to drink the water because you're going to get extremely sick. Be grateful for clean water. Be grateful that you have a roof over your head to protect you from the weather. Be grateful that you have a place that you can rest your body. Be grateful that you have walls around you that protect you from those other people that might want to take the things that you have. Stand in a place of gratitude. And those steps will help you get into a place of healing. And if those steps don't seem to help you, if you don't find any peace from any of that, reach out to a professional. Reach out to a therapist. Find yourself at maybe some type of retreat center in the world that can help you move through your traumas. Maybe with something like plant medicine. I do believe it's one of the most powerful teachers on the planet. I'll also say it's not for everybody. It's a calling that you have to have inside of yourself. Start to look at different types of modalities that you can use. I believe a lot in hypnosis and meditation and NLP to help rewire your thoughts and feelings and change things. There's great teachers for that particular technique. There's technologies now that are using, VR headsets to help people with PTSD and traumas. And I'm not a doctor, but there is a lot of mechanisms out there that can help us move through our own personal healing. And again, take your pain, take your suffering, stand in a place of prayer. I don't know what it is that you pray to or who you pray to, but just release that emotion and just say, this is something so much bigger. I don't know how to carry this. Can you please help me carry this? Because that's what I've been finding myself doing lately. I can't carry this right now. I can't make sense of this. Can you please help me carry this? And it's okay. It is okay to ask for help. So, with that said, I want you to know that you are loved. I want you to know that you are seen. I want you to know that you are important and that you matter. I want you to know that you are so unique, that yes, you're a unique snowflake, and yes, your patterns on your hands are 100% yours. And I want you to know that we continue to create and co-create this experience together. I want you to remember how powerful you are. I want you to remember that you can overcome any adversity in front of you. I want you to know that you are made for greatness. I want you to know that you're a steward of everything around you in this creation. And you are powerful, and you are loved, and you are great. You must know that. Those thoughts, those feelings that are telling you the opposite, they're not real. And do yourself a favor. Dig in deep. Do the work. And you will find this to be true. You will find how powerful you are. And you'll find even in the most tragic situations possible that you can overcome them. That you can win. That you can heal through these things. And you can see just how powerful you are. I love you. I appreciate all of our listeners that take the time to listen to this message. I appreciate everybody that shares this message because I believe it's one that people need to hear. This wasn't planned. This wasn't rehearsed. This is simply me sharing the things that are on my heart and sharing the things that work for me. So, if you got anything out of this, I ask, please share this. Please subscribe. Make some comments at the bottom. Because I know that this message needs to be heard. Because I know for a fact that people are so tired of sugar-coated bullshit that they're selling as magic. There's nothing magical about this. This is hard work. It's going to take you digging in deep. It's going to take you being vulnerable. It's going to take you doing things you don't want to do. But that, my friend, is where the light hides. So again, thank you so much for listening to Spiritual Capitalist. I love you.